Alright, this is Numbers 36 in the MacArthur Study Bible and the Prager Rational Bible. Alright, the last chapter of Numbers. Little refresher of 35. Basically, 35, he had cities, he would have 48 of them given to Levites, and then 6 of those would be cities of refuge for the manslayer to flee to get away from the blood avenger. But of course, if you're a murderer, then you would ultimately be put to death by the blood avenger if you were found guilty. And then 6 of those cities he got for the cities of refuge, 3 of them on the eastern side of the Jordan, and then the 3 on the western side, the promised land side, the Canaan, Israel. And now you get to chapter 36. Final chapter. Alright, marriage of female heirs. Now the chief fathers of the families of the children of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, and of the families of the sons of Joseph, came near and spoke before Moses and before the leaders, the chief fathers of the children of Israel. And they said, The Lord commanded my lord Moses to give the land as an inheritance by lot to the children of Israel, and my lord was commanded by the Lord to give the inheritance of our brother Zelophehad to his daughters. Call back to Numbers 27. Now, if they are married to any of the sons of the other tribes of the children of Israel, then their inheritance will be taken from the inheritance of our fathers, and it'll be added to the inheritance of the tribe into which they married, so it'll be taken from the lot of our inheritance. And when the Jubilee of the children of Israel comes, then their inheritance will be added to the inheritance of the tribe into which they marry, so their inheritance will be taken away from the inheritance of the tribe of our fathers. And then Moses commanded the children of Israel according to the word of the Lord, saying, What the tribe of the sons of Joseph speaks is right. This is what the Lord commands concerning the daughters of Zelophehad, saying, Let them marry whom they think best, but they may marry within the family of their father's tribe. So the inheritance of the children of Israel shall not change hands from tribe to tribe, for each one of the children of Israel shall keep the inheritance of the tribe of his fathers. And every daughter who possesses an inheritance in any tribe of the children of Israel shall be the wife of one of the family of her father's tribe, so that the children of Israel each may possess the inheritance of his fathers. Thus no inheritance shall change hands from one tribe to another, but every tribe of the children of Israel shall keep his own inheritance. And just as the Lord commanded Moses, so did the daughters of Zelophehad, for Mahlah, Tirzah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Noah, the daughters of Zelophehad, were married to the sons of their father's brothers. They were married into the families of the children of Manasseh, the son of Joseph. Their inheritance remained in the tribe of their father's family. And these are the commandments and the judgments which the Lord commanded the children of Israel by the hand of Moses in the plains of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho. Alright, well that's pretty short. Alright, not very many notes for MacArthur. So basically what's going on here is dealing with inheritance, especially with Zelophehad's daughters. Yeah, so the issue raised here, it stemmed from a decision regarding female inheritance in Numbers 27 verses 1 through 11. Since a tribe would lose an allotted inheritance in the year of Jubilee, if an inheriting woman had married into another tribe, the woman of any tribe uh, who inherited the land must marry within her own tribe. That way, other tribes don't lose their inheritances. All right. And the daughters of Zelophehad exemplified the obedience to God's commands that should have should have been practiced by all of Israel, and their inheritance was a direct result of their obedience to the Lord. It's a basic lesson stressed throughout the whole book of Numbers. Yeah. And ultimately, again, Israel disobeyed. The first generation of Israelites, they disobeyed. They did not believe God. Therefore, they didn't get into the promised land. They didn't get their ultimate inheritance. They didn't get their inheritance there. Yeah, well, Joshua and Caleb did. They obeyed the Lord. They had faith. So they received theirs. Yep. And that's the end of MacArthur there, so I'll go ahead and see what Prager has to say. All right, preserving the lands and the identities of the tribes. So I'll read the verses again. The family heads and the clans of the descendants of Gilead, son of Machir, son of Manasseh, one of the Josephite tribes, came forward and appealed to Moses and the chieftains, the family heads of the Israelites, and they said, "The Lord commanded my Lord to assign the land to the Israelites as shares by lot. My Lord was further commanded by the Lord to assign the share of our kinsman Zelophehad to his daughters. Now, if they marry persons from another Israelite tribe, their share will be cut off from our ancestral portion and be added to the portion of the tribe into which they married. Thus our allotted portion will be diminished. And even when the Israelites observe the Jubilee, their share will be added to that of the tribe into which they marry, and their share will be cut off from the ancestral portion of our tribe." So as Israel prepared to enter into the Promised Land, there was uncertainty about how the land would be apportioned. This chapter, the last chapter in the book of Numbers, it revisits the issue of the daughters of Zelophehad, discussed in chapter 27, concerning a man who died without a male heir. And when the Israelites entered Canaan, the land was divided among the 12 tribes. Levites received no territory. Of course, they would have their cities, as talked about in the previous chapter. Joseph's descendants counted as 2 tribes, Ephraim and Manasseh. Yeah, the latter described in the next verse as the Josephite tribe. And the biblical laws of inheritance were designed to maintain each tribe's territorial integrity, not to deprive women of property. So this territorial integrity was achieved by passing property in the tribal identity from fathers to sons. And if women as well as men could inherit property from their fathers, property and land would keep shifting from one tribe to another, since the property and land were attached to the father. Therefore, if a woman, let us say, maybe from the tribe of Manasseh, married a man from the tribe of Judah, she could inherit the land in Manasseh and bequeath it to her now Judite children. Thus the land would be taken away from the tribe of Manasseh. At the very least, this would result in some loss of tribal identity. And the heads of Zelophehad's tribe, Manasseh, they did not want to have a problem with Zelophehad's daughters inheriting their deceased father's property, given that their father had no sons. So what concerned them was what would happen to their tribe's property if Zelophehad's daughters married men from another tribe. And Pinchas Polonsky offers an important lesson based on why the daughters of Zelophehad's story is in two parts. So the reason for this division is to emphasize that the story is coming to teach us two separate ideas, namely that in the religious spiritual realm, both the individual and the society are important. The request of Zelophehad's daughters expresses concern for rights and needs of the individual, 27, while the request of the tribal heads of Manasseh speaks of the rights and needs of society. The Almighty deemed both requests legitimate, thereby demonstrating to the people that the needs of the individual and the needs of society should be addressed together with no neglect of either one. Alright, God's solution to the daughters of Zelophehad and the inheritance question. 5. Moses, at the Lord's bidding, instructed the Israelites, saying, the plea of the Jehoshaphat tribe is just. This is what the Lord has commanded concerning the daughters of Zelophehad. They may marry anyone they wish, provided they marry into a clan of their father's tribe. So according to Bolonsky, it's always been a fundamental principle of Jewish tradition and law that a girl's family or other would-be influencers cannot impose upon her the choice of a husband. She must be free to make that decision entirely on her own. Yeah, provided it's within her own tribe ultimately here. Yeah, no inheritance of the Israelites may pass over from one tribe to another, but the Israelites must remain bound to each to their ancestral portion of his tribe. So the word translated here as remain bound, yed baiku, that's Hebrew, I may not be saying that right, but it's the same verb used in Genesis 2:24 where it says a man shall cleave or become attached to his wife. That's how powerful the tie is. That's how powerful the tie is to be between the Israelite and his land. Every daughter among the Israelite tribes who inherits a share must marry someone from a clan of her father's tribe in order that every Israelite may keep his ancestral share. Thus no inheritance shall pass over from one tribe to another, but the Israelite tribes shall remain bound each to its portion. So God's solution reconciled the competing claims of the individual and the community. Women who had no brothers maintained their right to inherit, and the community maintained the integrity of its ancestral lands. In addition, women were allowed to marry any man they wanted, something quite rare in societies until modern times, within their father's tribe. That restriction may sound, may sound onerous to us, but not to the people living at the time. Few individuals in the pre-modern world came into contact with people who lived more than 20 miles or about 30 kilometers from them. People did not travel widely, let alone to attend out-of-town schools or to take up employment far away from where they grew up. So verse 10, the daughters of Zelophehad did as the Lord commanded Moses. Mala, Tirzah, Hogla, and Milcah, Noah, Zelophehad's daughters, were married to sons of their uncles. So Jewish law never regarded the marriage of first cousins as incestuous. Indeed, until modern times, such marriages were common among Jews and among nearly all other nations. It's noteworthy that the daughters' names are repeated here. The Torah clearly wishes to depict these women as individuals with identities, not merely as daughters of a man named Zelophehad. Indeed, one biblical scholar, David Stubbs, describes the women in quite glowing terms. The daughters of Zelophehad mix boldness to confront systems that do not serve their proper ends with obedience that is willing to curtail certain freedoms for the good of the community. All right. 12. Marrying into the clans of the descendants of Manasseh, son of Joseph, and so their share remained in the tribe of their father's clan. And these are the commandments and regulations that the Lord enjoined upon the Israelites through Moses on the steeps of Moab at the Jordan near Jericho. So the book of Numbers ends the Torah's narrative with the single exception of the last chapter of Deuteronomy describing Moses' death. The next book, Deuteronomy, is the final book of the Torah. It contains Moses' farewell addresses to the people, and it contains more laws than any other book of the Torah. So the narrative concludes with the laws concerning murder and the laws concerning women's rights to inherit. How society treats women and deals with homicide can be said to define the moral level of the society. If women are considered as property rather than as individuals in their own right, human life in general would be regarded as cheap, as it will if society is not revolted by the taking of innocent human life. The Torah's narrative thus concludes with two issues that will shape the way the Israelites will live as a holy nation in the Holy Land. All right. Well, there you go. Well, that's the end of Numbers. Yeah, that was awesome. And, well, Lord willing, I'll get to another video another time. I might do a Christmas video or two. So stay tuned. And then in the coming year, stay tuned for Romans, Lord willing. Alright, but until then, may God bless you in the grace and mercy won by Jesus, the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with you all.